Hi, my name is Erin Campbell and today I will be showing you my bullet journal setup for 2021. I think it's safe bet to say that everybody wants to forget about 2020 and move on, so enjoy. So first off, I am using a uni pen fine liner with water and fade proof pigment ink in the 0.5 size, and just starting off with writing up my grid space for my bullet journal setup. This is basically just telling you how many squares you have down and across the page, and this also makes it easier as a guide just to set up for pages to come, so I can section it off and I know how many spaces down it is for my half section, thirds and quarters. So those I'll draw in a minute. Oh, and with my hand, I have torn a tendon in my thumb from boxing, of all things. This was an injury that I sustained through gym, through actual boxing sessions. I didn't just go off and punch some random stranger. And yeah, so I had initially injured it just before I started shooting, which is why my hand will be strapped for the majority of these videos. Right, and moving on to the next page. So for me, I find the more room that I have, the better. So for my year at a glance, I actually like to split it into 4 pages. So 3 months on each page, and I've just broken it up into thirds on each page, with the month correlating with the monthly calendar spread section of it. Just to the side of it, and then on the other side of those, which I'll show you in a later video, what I actually use that spare space for, and it's really just for public holidays and birthdays. So any major milestone events for the days of those months. So now that I've written in all of the months, I'm just going to go in and do up my little calendar spread. Now, if you're not used to writing a lot with pen and paper anymore, this is probably going to make your hand hurt, so just make sure you take active breaks in between so your hand gets a rest. And now that page is all done, now I'll move on, just double checking the spaces are correct. So I'm just moving on to the second half of the year. course it would not be complete without a sexy little drop shadow. Okay, moving on. So now that all of that's done, I'm just drawing a little spread so I can see all of my themes for each month at a glance. Decided to go with a little bubble theme this year. I just thought it'd be a bit cute. My bullet journal last year I did actually forget to do it after I had already written up January spread, so I ended up doing it after January. And I put a little bookmark in my bullet journal. Actually, I can show you. So this is my current bullet journal for this year, and I've actually bookmarked the page where I've got my year at a glance for my spread, just so I don't have to hunt for it, and I kind of forgot it's there. But it especially helps a lot even when you're still making the bullet journal spreads. But this is my one for last year. Bit hard to see, sorry. There we go. But that was my one for last year. So yeah, a little bit all over the place. A lot more organized this year. This is where we have them. I swear I get so many rubber pieces just constantly scattered across my desk when I'm making my bullet journal spreads. Okay, so next up I am using my Crayola Super Tips. If you can focus, please, any second now. And, oh wait, there we go. Alright, so this is just my classic Crayola Super Tips section, and I found that these work a lot better, just in regards to the ink density and the thickness, because my pages aren't that thick. This bullet journal is just from typo. This is a good substitute for the ink not running through to the other side. Also, they are quite light and airy and easy to draw with. I did think it was a little bit bland just with all of my bubbles, but my bubbles not filled in, so I decided to just colour them in. I didn't make it anything fancy and make them 3D, I just wanted a little bit more colour in the background. And that is my themes page done and dusted. Just double checking and showing you that it doesn't run through to the side. I did forget to do my 2021 title page, so I'll go back and do that now. So I've just written out in block letters 2021, and then just with a calligraphy pen I've written in cursive over the top 2020. I wasn't quite happy with my O, so I wanted to go back and just make a little bit more rounder. And moving on. So after my theme section I have my movies to watch. Now I have learnt after doing bullet journals for the last 2 years now that this section needs to be quite big for me. My first year ever deciding to start bullet journals, I only gave myself 1 page and quickly realised that is not enough space, even though I'm only writing in a movie for every square cube. So I've done the same setup that I have done from my previous year in 2020. but considering all things in 2020, I ended up having to white out a lot of them that were meant to be released that year but have obviously been pushed back to this year, so that. I didn't end up running out of space largely because I got to go back and white out a lot of it. But as you can see, all of my dot points are there, and I've given myself 3 pages worth of room for all my movies, and I gave myself 1 page for TV, series, and anything like that, or even anime, really. And hopefully, fingers crossed, this will be enough space for me. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am actually a film major, hence why I watch so goddamn many movies. And that is, it's my passion, is literally what I do, and it's a field that I'm deeply interested in, and I think watching all of these movies and TV shows gives me insight into what works, what doesn't, and it's very interesting to see how people react to it and what the difference between what reviews say and my personal opinion on things. But yeah, I always like to make it pretty as well. You can't just have plain dot points. Now moving on to my 2021 content ideas. Now I haven't given myself a lot of space for this, largely because the vast majority of it will be bullet journal related. But this is more for like those odd little videos that should I decide to go do some more filming or anything, it will be for that specifically. On my left hand side, as you can see there, I've got books to read. This is hopefully more to hold myself accountable to read a bit more. I've gotten quite slack the last year with reading, and I want to make it a point to actually do more and get through the books that I have slowly piling up on my bedside table. I think that this and all of my habit trackers keep me very accountable, and it's such a satisfying feeling to mark something off at the end of the day saying, hey, I've done this and I've accomplished whatever it is that you need to accomplish. Okay, so for this section, this is a new one that I haven't had in previous bullet journals before, is new vocab. Now, another thing you might not know about me is I speak multiple languages, and for me, especially after high school, I found it really hard to utilize all my language skills and keep up with using them. So I think this is a good idea for me, especially just when I'm picking up new phrases or new words, that I can put it in one spot and have it there. Now, this is just my little swatch for my samples for all of my Crayola super tips. I wanted to put them in one place just so I can go back and have a look and not have to guess off the color of the lid, because as we know, they are not always the most accurate things. I did it when I first actually bought this new pack, and which made it a lot easier for filming and when I was drawing up these spreads. Now just on the left hand side, I've got a typography font, and this year I wanted to mix it up and try a few new fonts other than my own handwriting for certain spreads, and hopefully relate them to whatever the theme is for that spread. Yeah, and see how it goes. Okay, now that that is done, I am moving on to the last little bit of my bullet journal setup, and this is a bucket list. Now I did just skip ahead so you don't have to watch me draw in the outlines. I already have some things on my bucket list, as you can see there. Some of them are quite big life goals, some are just, you know, things that I want to do in this lifetime. Mostly just, you know, I want to buy my own apartment, I want to go stay in an ice hotel. Even though I hate the cold, I think this would be a really fun thing to do, and I can tolerate it. It's all about the layers. Honestly, all about the layers. I swear that's my catchphrase at this point, but so I've just coloured it in, and let's be sort of cool. I think I did actually see this design somewhere, and I honestly can't remember where, so if you know where this is from and you've seen it before, please just comment down below so I can give credit to the design. Alright, that's all done, and hopefully I will be adding to that in days to come. And just a quick flip through for you. And that is my bullet journal setup for 2021. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and comment anything you'd like to see in the future, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Whenever your heart is broken, don't ever forget you're golden. I will find the light in your soul.